town, saying that this is not just insulting the second most powerful constitutional office in the land, but also something that would be unacceptable to a majority of Jats, which is the denomination that Mr. Dhankar hails from. So then the question is, who is making a mockery of Parliament? But first, the story so far.
देश के इतिहास में पहली बार है कि आज कितने लोगों को उन्होंने सस्पेंड किया। ये डेमोक्रेसी के लिए अच्छा नहीं है, ये डराने की बात हो गई है।
पुलिस किसके हाथ में है? होम मिनिस्ट्री के नीचे है। तो क्या हो जाता अगर वो 5 मिनट आते और कहते जनाब ये हो गया है, हम इस पर कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं।
मैं तो यही कह सकता हूं, सद्बुद्धि आए, कुछ तो सीमा होती होगी।
ये जो ब्लॉक कर रहे हैं, जो अवरोध पैदा कर रहे हैं, ये उनकी हताशा है 3 प्रदेशों में हार के कारण।
All right, let me now give you a breakup of the suspended MPs. Remember, this has been happening for the better part of the last week or so. First up in the Lok Sabha, this was on the 14th of December. There were 13 MPs who were suspended in the Lok Sabha, a majority of them from the Congress and other southern parties. Then 4 days later, on the 18th, there were 33 MPs who were suspended. And now today, the 19th of December, another 49 MPs have been suspended from the Rajya Sabha. So together, that is more than 80 MPs from the Lok Sabha alone. Then in the Rajya Sabha, on the 14th of December, one MP, who's Derek O'Brien, the floor leader of the Trinamool Congress, he was suspended. This was last week. And then this week, just a day ago, just 24 hours ago, on the 18th of December, there were 45 MPs who were suspended. So in total, there are 46 MPs of the Rajya Sabha who have been suspended. Now, in the Lok Sabha, as many as 71% of the India bloc MPs have been suspended. This is the strength of the House, as it were, in both houses. The NDA has 353, the opposition has 133, and the suspended ones are 95 out of 133, which means that 70% of the India bloc MPs or the opposition MPs have been suspended, 133 who have been suspended for the remainder of the session. Meanwhile, in the Rajya Sabha, out of the 95 opposition MPs, 46 of them have been suspended. That's almost half of the India MPs. Half the strength of the opposition benches in the Rajya Sabha have been suspended for the remainder of the session. So 70% in the Lok Sabha and 48% in the Rajya Sabha. Now, as shocking as this suspension spree is, what is equally shocking today was TMC MP Kalyan Banerjee, who was seen mimicking the Rajya Sabha chairman Jagdeep Dhankar outside the House as he was protesting along with the suspended MPs. In that same clip, which has gone viral, you can see Congress leader Rahul Gandhi taking a video of Kalyan Banerjee doing this whole mock act. Take a look at this video because this has gone viral and now the BJP is taking grave offense to this. There are all kinds of counter accusations against Kalyan Banerjee, saying he's mimicking a person who holds the second highest constitutional office in this country, to mimicking a person who apparently has a disability, to mimicking a person whose caste will not take this lightly. Let's see that whole clip, that whole sequence of events, and then I'll go across to our debate.
Mr. Rai, you are a lawyer. I am a
weird lawyer. I know. You see, Mr. Nariman is not a good lawyer. How many cases you know? I've done it Supreme Court. I've done it Supreme Court. I must understand. My spine is so straight. You, Mr. Gandhi, you must understand. You must understand that I have been appointed here only to say Narendra Modi. Understand it. My spine is very straight. I'm so tall.
So Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, who also is the Rajya Sabha chairperson, has slammed the Congress and the wider opposition for this kind of behavior by the Trinamool MP. He has said, and I quote, "This response is against the institution of the Vice President, the institution of the chairman of the Rajya Sabha." And with this, he says, we have seen the lowest level. Senior Congress leader has been videographing an MP mocking the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. The chairman has been ravaged, and that too by a political party. The Congress has put out a video on Instagram. It, of course, subsequently withdrew that video because it was offensive to what the chair claims. He also mentioned how a Congress spokesperson also tweeted that particular video out. This is what the chairman has claimed, and I quote, "I was insulted as a farmer and a jat, and my position as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, as the Vice President of India, has been insulted." Now, the BJP, as you would expect, has gone all guns blazing against the opposition MPs. Take a look at this tweet from Kanchan Gupta, who is a senior advisor to the INB Ministry of the Government of India, and that's part of our Motorola 5G smartphones tweet of the day.
Hello, Moto.
This is what Mr. Gupta has written on the social media platform X, and I quote, "This is incredibly shocking. TMC MP Kalyan Banerjee rudely mimics Rajya Sabha Chairman and Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankar. An individual is not being insulted. The institution of Parliament is being demeaned by Kalyan Banerjee and by Rahul Gandhi. Abhradata, Ashlinata, Asabhyata, the three A's that now define the TMC, led by Mamta Banerjee." Now, this is what the government's view seems to be, the Treasury bench's view seems to be. But the bigger picture is that as things stand today, 141 opposition MPs have been suspended. That is the largest number of opposition MPs to be suspended in the history of the Lok Sabha, the history of the Rajya Sabha, the history of parliamentary democracy as we know it since independence. So that brings us to our big debate topic tonight.
Hello, Moto.
All right, so let me go across to our guests who are joining us. Ajay Alok is the national spokesperson of the BJP. Jebi Mathur is the suspended Rajya Sabha member of the Congress Party. Ashutosh Verma, Samajwadi Party spokesperson. Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst, joining us. Ajay Alok, the accusation against you by the opposition is democracy to bacha hi nahi hai. 141, you might as well sack the entire opposition and say that only treasury benches will be there in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This is a joke of a democracy. This is a mockery of democracy. Nowhere in the history of India have 141 MPs ever been suspended in one session of Parliament.
Yeah, Zaka, if you see, the opposition has been claiming that there is no democracy left in this country since 2014. Do you actually believe so? Because after 2014, we must have had around 55 state elections and 14 election and 19 election, and still the democracy, there is no democracy. When they win, there is a democracy. When they don't win, it's a autocracy. And we have seen what is autocracy in 1975 to 1977. What the autocracy means. When it is run by a family, it's a democracy. And when it is being run by the people, it becomes autocracy. Such a bunch of hypocrites sitting in the parliament, they don't know how to respect. They have taken the oath. They come under oath when they enter parliament, that I'll uphold all the sanctities of the parliament. I'll respect the traditions of the parliament. This is the respecting of tradition. By being an MP, you are allowed just to dance on the table, just to get out of your chair, just to throw papers at the chair, come out in the well with the placards and all, when it was agreed that in the new parliament there won't be any placards. And after repeated requests from the chairman and the speaker, both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they failed to listen. So what was the option left? Do you want the parliament to be run like a fish market? Because the Rajya Sabha TV and the Lok Sabha TV, this is being telecasted in 140 countries of this world. Just imagine what happened, what image the Sri Lanka speaker must have taken of our parliament. And that to be led by a party who has ruled this country for 60 years. They don't know the tradition and the ethos of the parliament. And then they say this is a murder of democracy. If the opposition MPs are suspended, whatever may the number be, here only is a suspension. What Indira Gandhi did in 1975 to 77. All the opposition MPs were in jail. Here what we are asking, what the speaker in the chair is asking, please behave yourself, please mend your ways, please have discussion. And on what issue they were shouting? The issue which was explained properly both by the speaker and the chairman in the both houses on attack on parliament on 13th, on which these Lok Sabha speakers and these Rajya Sabha speakers were saying that the attack was not because of unemployment, because of rise in prices. They had sympathy towards these attackers. And today they are demanding answers from a Home Minister. When it's a purview of the speaker, they know it very nicely that the parliament runs according to the law, not according to the whims of the family. And please don't try and change the narrative. What we have done today by insulting the Vice President, they're the second largest constitutional chair in this country. What you have done today, it's not taken lightly.
Okay. So let me ask Javi Mathur of the Congress Party this. I mean, you have an opposition MP mocking the second highest constitutional office in this land. Whatever differences you have with the Vice President, whatever differences you have with the chair, and you belong to that house, the Rajya Sabha, you cannot be seen as mocking such an individual in public high office outside the halls of parliament just because a bunch of opposition MPs have been suspended. Like I said, the fact of the matter is that you have asked for the Home Minister's statement. It's a purview of the matter of the Lok Sabha Secretariat and that of the Speaker. You have said that no discussion no further movement without the Prime Minister coming and a discussion happening. There's an ongoing investigation that has been ordered. Wait for the results of that ongoing investigation. And the most important thing, that at the end of the day, you're not interested in discussing or passing these important bills, which is the basic functioning of Parliament. What you're interested in is holding placards, hurling slogans, hurling abuses at the chair, coming to the well of the House, which is all explicitly prohibited. And despite repeated appeals from both the Speaker in the Lok Sabha and the Vice President in the Rajya Sabha, opposition MPs are continuing to do that. And that's why they were left with no resort but to suspend you.
BJP is creating history for all the wrong reasons. See, fact remains that our parliament in the Lok Sabha, the infiltrators creeped in and they jumped from the public gallery and sprayed. What if it was a poisonous gas? The fact remains that a BJP MP, it was through his pass that they entered. The fact remains that we, India Alliance as an opposition, asked a fair statement from the Home Minister in the presence of Prime Minister about what happened. And the fact remains that till date, not a single word from the Home Minister or the Prime Minister on such a grave breach of security. Nobody is saying that it is not a breach of security. There is no doubt about it in anyone's mind that it is a breach of security. When that happened, what stops the Prime Minister and the Home Minister to come to the floor of the houses and make a statement? That's all we were demanding. And what BJP wants, see, for something that has happened inside the parliament, that too the most secure place, they do not even feel that they have the sense of accountability, that they don't feel that they have to even give an answer, make a statement, take the MPs, take the Rajya Sabha and houses into confidence. They don't do that. They just don't even do that. They don't give an answer. They try to normalize everything. And then the fact remains that 141 MPs of different parties other than BJP are suspended. And in the India's history, have we ever seen something like this? This is not a black chapter of democracy. This is a big book, a dark book of democracy in India now, and democracy is choking.
Quick response.
It is breathing its last, and it is in ICU.
Of how
it
democracy is in the ICU,
but we will not allow them to be
141 MPs have been
Zaka,
suspended. It's not happened even in emergency.
Zaka, please ask Congress spokesperson, and she's a Rajya Sabha MP also. I have full regards for her. That why are her views different from her leader Rahul Gandhi? Because we may not have heard the statement from Home Minister or Prime Minister, but the whole country has heard statement of Mr. Rahul Gandhi that yes, it was a security lapse. There's no doubt about it. But the main reason behind it is unemployment and poverty. He was showing sympathy, and you are calling them infiltrators. Jai Ram Ramesh is calling them, it's a grave misunderstanding. They are disillusioned youth. I mean, please clarify. Where is Congress standing on this? Was it a terrorist activity, or it was because of unemployment and price rise? Please clarify. You are a Rajya Sabha MP. It's a very important statement what you make right now. Was this a terrorist attempt, or was that because of unemployment and price rise? Please clarify.
Let me also open this up to Ashutosh Verma of the Samajwadi Party. Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst, is also joining us. Ashutosh Verma, the basic point is these rules were always in existence. Rule 374 of the Lok Sabha, 255 of the Rajya Sabha were always in existence, that members are not allowed to come to the well of the House, show placards, come to the well of the House, sloganeer, hurl abuses at the chair. These rules always existed. But then in the past, no one really enforced these rules. Today, the BJP-run NDA government is saying rules are rules, irrespective of which party violates it. If you come to the well of the House and wave placards and abuse the chair, then you will be suspended. They are basically drawing a Lakshman Rekha. New parliament, rules will be enforced. There will be no more benign overlooking of these rules. The rules will be enforced per force.
No, Jacob, I think it's a very well planned mechanism played by Bharatiya Janata Party, and they are planning to suspend more MPs in next future. I think it will not end with 141, it will go on also, because they don't want someone to be coming in front of their decisions. And this is the finest example of the irony in India, that a person, an MP who has given pass to that suspected, they has not been asked a single question to that MP, and the MPs who asked question about all these, they has been suspended from last 3 days. This is the irony of democracy, what Bharatiya Janata Party is giving. And suspending a parliament is a basically idea given by late Arun Jaitley ji and Sushma Swaraj ji, that to protest in the parliament is a part of a democracy. When these ideas has been given by the Bharatiya Janata Party senior leader, then it was okay. When now they are in power, then it is not okay. And what he is showing about the sanctity and insulting the VP, I know you can't do like this. But what is Didi, oh Didi? In 2021, among 28 states and 8 union territories of India, she was the only chief minister in the constitutional place. And the Prime Minister of India was making the mockery of that woman, Didi or Didi, who uses the word of 50 crore girlfriend. This is the Prime Minister of India. So I think he has made the trend of using all these things and making mockery of other parliamentarian and politicians.
No, but Mr. Verma, are you saying what Kalyan Banerjee TMC MP did, this mimicking, this mockery of the Vice President, is okay?
So do you think doing mimicry is a crime? Can you say that doing a mimicry is a crime?
This is the second highest constitutional office of this country.
So please declare the mimicking anybody in the India is a crime. Please declare. Please declare in N18 right now.
No. You can.
Then it is a crime?
No. One second.
Then it is a crime.
No. One second. Is Mr. Kalyan Banerjee a stand-up comic? Because if he's a stand-up comic, yes, he should go ahead and mimic whoever he wants to. No doubt, no
Okay,
problem about it.
so you-
but to
so
stand
do
on
you
the footsteps of
think
Parliament
anybody-
and mimic the presiding officer,
Okay.
sir, I mean, it's not called for.
No,
It's
no.
completely unacceptable.
Now, why it is unacceptable? Just tell me one reason. Doing a mimicry in India by any
Oh,
person,
why this is
by
unacceptable?
by
Because
Great,
you are
great,
abusing
great.
the
Is it a
chair.
crime?
What a comment.
You're
I don't
abusing
know,
the
no.
institution.
So what was Didi or Didi?
That's
Have
their
you
habit.
ever gone
Sir,
a debate?
No, one second.
No.
Again, I'm not
That was
defending
the Prime
Didi
Minister
or
of
Didi.
India.
No, one second.
That was the Prime
One
Minister
second.
of
One
India.
second.
He
Ashutosh
was
Verma,
about
1 second.
pride.
Please. Let's be very, very clear. The distinction between the two, I'm not for a moment condoning Didi or 50 crore ki girlfriend, but these are things that were said on the campaign trail where in the heat of elections. And political parties always say that, right? Your leaders have also said that. But here is an elected member of parliament on the footsteps of parliament mimicking the chair, the presiding officer of the house. Come
Can
on,
you tell
the two
me-
cannot be the
can you
same.
Can you tell a single IPC or single misconduct rule that no MP can mimic anybody? Can you tell me a single rule in the rule book of parliament or
Sir,
Just give me
denigrating
Jacob.
the institution of parliament,
No, we are not-
denigrating
he's
the
not denigrating.
institution of the
No, no,
presiding
you are-
officer.
No, you are exaggerating a thing which has not
I'm
been
exaggerating.
happening. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely you are exaggerating.
Okay,
You
Amitabh
haven't
Tiwari,
got a debate.
fair
Have
enough.
you ever
Maybe-
asked the Prime Minister of India?
Fair
you
enough.
insulted the woman Chief Minister Didi or Didi?
Okay, no.
Have you ever
When that
have a
comment
heart
was
to
made,
tell
like I
us?
said, Mr. Verma, please appreciate, I said a moment ago that no one is condoning that. It is equally condemnable. Nobody should be mimicking the only woman Chief Minister of the country. But Amitabh Tiwari, let me please ask you. The point is, most people, particularly middle class people, are looking at these proceedings over the last week or so, all these opposition MPs being suspended, and saying that, they brought it upon themselves, that they got what they sowed, that they were behaving in an abominable manner, they were coming to the well of the house, raising placards, issuing all kinds of messages against the presiding officers, whether it's the speaker, whether it's the vice president, and therefore the house and the leaders who run the house wanted to enforce those rules, perhaps because they wanted to set an example. But at the same time, it is also a fact that at the end of the day, it is a democracy. When you have 141 and all belonging to opposition, not a single BJP MP has been suspended. All of them, 141 MPs of the opposition have been suspended. Then why are we going through the charade of parliament? Let's forget about it. Let's just have treasury benches, pass the bills that you need to pass and get on with it. Amitabh Tiwari.
Yeah, see, the decision may be right as per rules, but may not be right in spirit. Because what has happened over the last 9 to 10 years is that both the ruling party and the opposition have hardened their stance. And the channels of communication between the ruling party and the opposition in parliament have broken down. Earlier, senior parliamentarians from both sides used to communicate with each other and try to solve or resolve these issues. But now both of them have hardened their stance. The opposition wants the Home Minister or the Prime Minister to make a statement, whereas the ruling party is saying that the Speaker has already made a statement and the inquiry is on. As you said, when the middle class watches this, or when the youth of the nation is watching this and who have not watched proceedings of earlier years, might see that the parliament is a joke. I mean, what is happening in the parliament? It sends a wrong message also to the youth that this is what is happening in the parliament. See, both sides need to sit and reach to a conclusion, because a lot of money of the middle class people and taxpayers like you and me is being pumped to run the parliament, and it is required to make rules. So one thing is very important is that in terms of narrative, I think the BJP needs to be cautious of the fact that the opposition will try to peddle the narrative that they are doing this to pass bills. But BJP can pass bills anyways without these MPs being out of parliament or being in suspension. So that is something which the BJP needs to be cautious of. See, it is fairly wrong for the TMC MP to have done a mimicry of the vice president, because he's a vice president first and then an ex-officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Correct?
No, Mr. Verma was asking, is it a crime to mimic anyone? Please tell him why, it may not be a crime, but it's certainly in bad taste.
It's not about crime, and people look up to parliamentarians like all of them were sitting here. Correct. So this sends a wrong message, wrong example. However, at the same time, I am not saying that what the suspensions have been as also right. They might be right as per rule, but not in spirit. It's not fair to suspend 141 MPs. It also is a bad reflection on the speakers of both the houses that they have not been able to conduct the parliament in a way that the earlier speakers were able to.
Okay, so Ajay Alok, you know, when the BJP won the recent state elections, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, many said, you know, you're at the peak of your powers electorally across the country. And within a few days, all of this were to happen. And the opposition is naturally saying, you know, democracy is under threat. 141 MPs have never been suspended in the history of parliament. You know, there is a phrase called political magnanimity. Surely the BJP, the ruling party, the NDA could have shown more political magnanimity. After all, even you agree that what happened, the breach that happened, is a serious matter. It needs a discussion. It needs a firm statement. But, you know, in the time when you are at the peak of your political powers, after having won these, you know, huge mandates in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, to suspend 141 MPs just shows that, you know, you're intolerant of any kind of dissent or criticism. That's the argument from the opposition. Ajay Alok.
Well, Zaka, let me tell you that people used to say that we are in peak of our power. In 2017 also, when we won UP.
Yeah.
People used to say 2018 that we are just going downslide when we lost all the three states of Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. 2019 again we were in the peak of the power. 2020 again when we won state election we were at the peak of power. What is peak of power? We don't understand what is peak of power. This is simple a matter of parliamentary ethos and ethics, which I don't know how people analyze and how people take it. It's a matter of perception. When we talk of youth of this country, the youth of country who's watching television, they are seeing that House Speaker is pleading with the opposition MPs and what opposition MPs are doing. Then you get perception. Politics is nothing but perception. I just fail to understand today how Ashutosh, who's a learned doctor, he is speaking in favor of what's wrong in mimicry. Yes, my dear friend, there is no wrong in mimicry, but you can't mimic president and vice president. You say why Prime Minister says Didi oh Didi. What's wrong in Didi oh Didi? And that too in a political rally. He never abused her. He just used to say Didi, oh Didi. And you took offensive in that on a political rally. But inside the house and inside the house premises, you can mock the vice president and president or anyone, and that's right. What kind of a strange logic is this?
Okay.
It's just a matter of perception. And please, Jaka, before you end, please ask Congress spokesperson, is she right that they were infiltrators or Rahul Gandhi was right?
Okay, Javi Mathur, respond to that. Rahul Gandhi over the weekend came out and explicitly said, oh, these were unemployed youth and that's why they attacked. You are saying that this was a security breach, these were infiltrators. I mean, what is the Congress party's position tonight on that issue?
See, there are certain facts which is very true. In the country, there is issue of unemployment, there is issue of price rise. All that is very, very true and as white as clear as a white paper. What I am saying, what I want to again make it clear is the sheer arrogance of BJP rule dispensation, the present dispensation has brought the parliament.
You are right or BJP is right, or Rahul Gandhi is right.
Sheer arrogance. The sheer arrogance. And see this, what exactly happened in the parliament? It is for the home minister to come and say in the parliament, which they do not do. Why they do not do? Because of the sheer arrogance. And now different interpretations, why it happened, how it happened, so many things are definitely there. But the fact remains that the one who is supposed to answer is not coming in to the floor and answering.
Please hear me out. The breach is a serious issue. Nobody is denying that the breach is a serious issue. But the arrogance of the government led to the breach. How are you making that conclusion? It's not the arrogance of the government that led to the breach.
Not arrogance of the government. The arrogance of the government brought the parliament to a standstill, because if the home minister would have come and made a statement this parliament, it would not have come to this place. And it is again the arrogance of the government that 141 MPs stand suspended. They do not want to show any sense of accountability. Instead, they want to suspend. This is traits of
but the problem, Javi Mathur, and the BJP has been saying this for a number of sessions
they want
now.
To pass
Please
bills
hear me
without
out.
any voice from the opposition.
Last session,
they
you
want
said,
to pass criminal bills without hearing the opposition.
No, ma'am, please. Last session, you said Manipur is the most burning issue. There has to be a discussion on Manipur. The PM has to come and the PM has to make a statement and so on. When the government said, okay, we are ready for a discussion on Manipur, you said, no, we don't want discussion. We don't want a short duration discussion. We want an unlimited time duration for the discussion. Then you said, okay, PM has to come. And then when you realize that the PM is not coming, you move a no confidence motion when it is very clear. I mean, any basic student of political science will tell you that a party that is sitting with 303 seats, I mean, there is no locus standi to move a no confidence motion against that party or that coalition that's ruling. Their majority was not under threat. The only reason you moved the no confidence, hear me out, 1 second, 10 seconds, please, 10 seconds. The only reason you moved the no confidence was not because of lack of confidence in the government or the lack of majority of the government, but only because you wanted to force the Prime Minister to speak. And when the Prime Minister spoke about Manipur, including a whole bunch of other things that he spoke, but including Manipur, where was the opposition? They walked out. So clearly, every time you make a demand, and I'm not saying that the government is readily acceding to your demand or agreeing to your demand, but by the time the government comes around to your demand, you make a new demand. You're moving the goalpost. That's the problem too.
In the monsoon session, we had to try every weapon in the bag for the Prime Minister to come and answer or speak about Manipur conflict, about Manipur crisis. And finally, after everything, it was no confidence motion, and that was it was only when no confidence motion was moved, Prime Minister came. But country still remembers the speech of Prime Minister. He went on and on about everything else for hours together, and then it was at that moment the opposition had to walk out, because it was again a mockery of
Ms. Mathur, you'll also remember that
crisis.
Right after the
Prime Minister was not giving priority to Manipur or to what is happening in Manipur, about the ladies being striped, ladies being stripped, and how they had to walk, and how it was the video went viral, how the whole country
the victims and the survivors of the video that you're referring to. But anyway, let me go back to Ashutosh Verma. Ashutosh Verma, I think there's also a cynical view, and I'm not a subscriber to this view, but it's certainly a plausible one, but a cynical one, that look, anyway, this session is getting over by the end of this week. This government is going to go into re-election in a matter of a few months from now. The budget session is going to be a vote on account. It's a curtailed session. Nothing much is going to happen in that budget session. So why bother? You know, the government is going to say what it's going to say. The opposition is going to say what it's going to say. The people of India should just resign to the fact that, you know, there will be all of this drama, rushing into the well of the house, placards, as a consequence, a suspension. It's anyway, you know, at the fag end of the 17th Lok Sabha. We'll again reconvene at the 18th Lok Sabha and see what the will of the people of India is.
So, Jacob, that's the difference between the Bharatiya Janata Party and our India Alliance. We don't have an election mode in every 24/7. We want to give a clear-cut message. And you are asking about the Prime Minister, and you are defending the move by Prime Minister after 79 days when the violence broke in Manipur. Is it okay? Is it okay when your house got burned, everybody got burned out in Manipur after 79 days? If we asked our Prime Minister to please spoke on 2 words, and we forced him to come on the Parliament, then he came after 79 days, number one. Number two, he was talking about what we have done. So, Prime Minister got a time to give an interview in the private newspaper and take about 2 or 3 hours. Home Minister was sitting in the 5-star hotel and given interview on the private news channel. But they don't have enough time to come in the Parliament and to talk to our fellow parliamentarian. Okay, this is the security breach. We accept. This is the problem, and we all will discuss.
Okay.
This is the irony of the problem of Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay, Amitabh Tiwari, I'll give you the final word. I think that last point that Ashutosh Verma made, that both PM and HM have been giving interviews after the security breach happened on the 13th of December. while the House is in session, is it so much to ask that they make a statement in the House while they are freely making statements outside the House?
See, while the House is in session and since they have been making or giving interviews outside, and there is also a precedence that in the last terrorist attack on the Parliament, the Home Minister did make a statement. So I think the Home Minister can come and make a statement. It's not a big deal. He's not going to. He's just going to say that an inquiry has been instituted, and things might just come to a pass if that is going to solve the problem. But as you said earlier, that the opposition may go on changing the goalpost. So that's also a risk which the BJP believes, that when he comes and makes the statement, maybe again the opposition does a walkout or does not listen to what he perhaps is trying to say. So, but we all hope as citizens that there are some important bills like the telecom bill and the broadcasters bill, which have some very important provisions. And we hope that there will be a good debate in the Parliament on these issues, because there are some important provisions.
All right. Ajay, Alok, final word, 30 seconds. I've got to wrap up after that. Yeah, please.
Today the whole ruckus for the opposition was because CRPC and IPC bills were being replaced by the new laws, number one. Number two, the attack on the Parliament in 2001 is a completely different scenario to what the attack happened in 2023. They cannot be compared. And also, in 2001, Home Minister gave the statement after 10 days, when it was established that Kasab is a terrorist funded by Pakistan and hold the security agency modus operandi, and every report was concluded. And most of the foreign countries gave the remittance that yes, attack was conducted by Pakistan. Today, the investigation is not yet there with the Speaker and with the Home Ministry Committee. How can the Home Minister give reply? I mean, you have to go by the rules, right? If 2001, HM gave the statement, that was after the report was being submitted in the Parliament, not then and there. You cannot have a knee-jerk reaction when the Parliament security is concerned. That's very important.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests.
By today's debate, through your viewers.
I'm completely out of time, but thank you very much. We'll see if anything happens at all in the next couple of days, the remainder of this winter session of Parliament. But we'll leave it at that. We'll take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, 2023 is about to come to an end and 2024 is almost here. What can you expect around the world in 2024? It's going to be a critical year. There's going to be elections in India, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in the United States. There is going to be elections in the end of 2024. What may this mean for these democracies? More than 4 billion people on the planet will be voting for who their next government is going to be. Will Trump return in the United States? Will Nawaz Sharif return in Pakistan? Will it be a continuation of Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh? And of course, here in India, it seems almost a done deal, especially after the winter elections, the state assembly elections, that Mr. Modi and the NDA will come back for a third term. But what may all of this mean for global geopolitics? I have an explainer right on the other side of this quick break.
Hello, Moto.
Presented by
is moving ahead at breakneck speed. In 2023, we had one more war that is now roiling geopolitics. It is upending the global order as we knew it. In 2023, we've got the Israel-Hamas war, which may have started off as a limited operation to try and teach Hamas a lesson, but now it seems to be sending the entire wider Arab world into a tizzy. And this was on top of the other war that has been ravaging the world for close to 2 years now, the one between Russia and Ukraine. In that war, it is almost dead certain now that Ukraine cannot win from this point. It will have to make peace with the 20% or so of its territory which it has lost to Russia since this war began in February of 2022. So what is likely to happen in the world in 2024? What are going to be the 5 big, broad trends in foreign policy that will likely shape events in 2024? Here's a lowdown. It's all about elections, elections, and elections in 2024. There's going to be more elections in 2024 than in many years past. In 2024, some of the world's biggest democracies will be going to the polls. From America to India to even the tiny island nation of Taiwan, 2024 will see more than 4 billion people of the world competing to elect governments in their respective countries. In the subcontinent, there will be elections in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. It could well reshape the politics of the subcontinent. Depending on who wins in Pakistan, there could be a revival of some kind of thaw between New Delhi and Islamabad. The Pakistani military establishment seems to be backing former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who's come back. He has historically encouraged better ties with India. In Bangladesh, most likely Sheikh Hasina will return as Prime Minister. While that is good news for India because the Awami League has been largely seen as a pro-India party. But her government is facing considerable pressure from the United States, from other international organizations for the jailing of political opponents, and also facing accusations of muzzling free and fair elections in the country. In India, of course, the Modi government is expected to come back with yet another thumping majority, therefore reinforcing India's place in the subcontinent and in the emerging global order. Later in the year, there will be elections in the United States of America in what is likely to be a straight fight, a straight repeat of 2020, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. But their roles will be reversed. In 2024, Trump will be the challenger and Biden the incumbent. Will the results also be reversed? As things stand today, Trump leads Biden in all 7 swing states, anywhere between 2 to 5 percentage points. The return of Trump 2.0. If elections were to be held today, Donald Trump would beat Joe Biden hands down. It could be likelier a bigger victory for Trump than his first win in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. But then 1 year, they say, is a long time in politics. Anything can happen, from Trump being convicted in any of the number of legal cases that he's currently faced with. Biden's ill health may also change the campaign if he decides to withdraw, or if unforeseen health circumstances force him to withdraw from the race. But if Trump were to be elected again, and as I said, today he's leading Biden in all 7 swing states by big margins, then he could upend everything from the Russia-Ukraine war to the Israel-Hamas war. If Trump were to win, then he will likely dump Ukraine and cement Russia's de facto control of 20% of Ukrainian territory. He will also likely put more pressure on Vladimir Zelensky, the embattled president of Ukraine, to accept a peace deal with Russia on Russia's terms. In the case of Israel, Trump could give a free pass to Benjamin Netanyahu to double down on the war against Hamas. This would mean that an embattled Israeli prime minister will be emboldened to go after Hamas with even more severity, thereby blunting whatever criticism he has faced from the current US administration under Joe Biden. This could further drive a wedge between Israel and its Arab neighbors. the process of normalization of ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia, for example, will have to be put finally in the cold storage. America's relations with the Latin American Committee of Nations will also be severely strained, all the way from Mexico to Argentina, because Trump is going to make migration, particularly from the Latin American hemisphere, one of his top priorities. One of his top jobs at hand would be to seal the southern border, which has become a huge point of contention between the Democrats and the Republicans on Capitol Hill. That brings us to the third big trend of 2024, and that is the fate of the two ongoing wars. While the world's gaze has been utterly shocked by the Israel-Hamas war, that war is unlikely to end anytime soon. Israel's stated goal is to completely destroy Hamas, and while that may be possible militarily, it might not be possible politically. It's certainly not going to be easy to find a replacement to fill the power vacuum in Gaza once Hamas is eliminated. For example, America, under the current dispensation under President Biden, and its European partners, Britain, Germany, and France, have explicitly said this to Israel, that they want Hamas to be replaced with the Palestinian Authority in a post-war Gaza. But Netanyahu will have none of it. He feels emboldened enough by this war and the results of this war that he feels he now has the latitude to bury the two-state solution once and for all. This will, of course, not be allowed either by America or by the Arab world. So it's likely that in 2024, once the military part of this war is over, that Netanyahu will be forced out of office, either by the main opposition leader Benny Gantz or the more middle-of-the-road current defense minister Yoav Gallant. But it is unlikely that Netanyahu can cling on to power through much of 2024 once the main part of the military operations of this war are over. The Russia-Ukraine war, on the other hand, is grinding into a slow stalemate. Ukraine's famed counter-offensive in 2023 came a cropper. They were not able to repel Russian troops from the eastern parts of Ukraine. Russian defenses proved to be far more resilient than anticipated. Russia is now firmly entrenched in the Donbass, and it is unlikely to give up this territory. With this, Russia moves closer to its stated objective of establishing some kind of a buffer state between itself and an ever-expanding NATO. A battered Zelensky returned empty-handed from a year-end visit to the White House and to Capitol Hill. It's unlikely that the Republicans on Capitol Hill are going to give any more funds to Ukraine, partially because much of the funding effort is now shifted to Israel, and also this is their way of putting pressure on Biden to crack down on the southern border problem and illegal immigration. If Trump gets elected to the White House, then funding for Ukraine will almost nearly totally collapse. This would add pressure on Ukraine to forcibly sit across the table with Russia and negotiate a cold peace. 2024 will also see Asia back in firm focus. The geopolitical tensions between the United States and China are likely to exacerbate. Irrespective of who wins the White House in 2024, tensions between Washington and Beijing are likely to escalate. Anti-China rhetoric will start dominating the campaign trail. Neither Trump, the Republican favorite, nor Biden, the Democrat incumbent, would want to be seen as reconciliatory towards China. Hawkish anti-China rhetoric plays very well with the industrial belt, that's the Midwest states. Remember, many of those states also happen to be the swing states, which ultimately will decide who wins the presidential election. There's also elections in Taiwan, the small island nation which China claims as its own. If the leading candidate right now in the polls, the DPP's William Lai, wins, it will lead to further tensions with Beijing. Mr. Lai and his party want complete independence. They do not recognize Beijing's claims on Taiwan. But if the more conciliatory candidate of the KMT or the Kuomintang wins, which is an unlikelier scenario right now, Beijing might stop interfering. In any case, expect more military muscle flexing by China in the run-up to the Taiwan polls. China will also likely test other nations in the Asia-Pacific with whom it has a troubled relationship. Of notable interest will be the Philippines and India, both of which have shown a willingness to push China back. And finally, the fifth major trend you're likely to see has to do with new clean energy and artificial intelligence, both of which are now going to become mainstream. There used to be a time when oil and gas controlled geopolitics. What else explains the oversized power that mid-sized economies in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, Iran, UAE and Qatar seem to enjoy? But in an all-electric world which is dominated by the likes of Tesla and BYD, oil and gas are fast going to lose their relevance. What is going to gain relevance in the place of oil and gas are rare earth minerals like lithium and nickel. These are required to manufacture semiconductors, which are used in many electronic items that we use, and also to manufacture clean batteries. Now, whoever controls the supply chains of these rare earth minerals will be able to control global geopolitics, much like what these oil-producing countries did through the 70s, 80s and 90s. The lithium and nickel producing countries will be able to do in the next part of the 21st century. Similarly, artificial intelligence will completely start taking over in 2024. Notwithstanding the drama that we saw around OpenAI founders first being kicked out and then being brought back, the debate over human intelligence and jobs losing out to artificial intelligence will continue to further exacerbate in 2024. There could also be the negative effects of AI. There could be election meddling, deep fakes of celebrities, a lot more of which is going to come to the fore in 2024. A lot of old jobs will become fast redundant. Coding, which of course has elevated an entire lot of population in the developing world, most coding jobs could likely become redundant. A lot of new ones will be created as well, but the question that will be asked most in 2024 is, are the economies of our world attuned to producing the engineers and doctors and scientists and researchers who are cut out for the jobs of 2024 and not the jobs of 2004? So all in all, these are the 5 big broad trends that you're likely to see in the coming year. Wish you all a very happy new year and season's greetings.
Remove 2 Congress governments in Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh after 1 term, that's a worry for the Congress party, why they are not being able to buck anti-incumbency.
There's a different kind of a work culture in a counter-based party like BJP, which maybe the commentators are still getting used to.
There is a lot of statistical evidence to suggest that even gratuitous reverie is being rejected. So the AAP, I don't know if you know this statistic, has lost its deposits in all 88 seats of Rajasthan. In that particular seat, in that area, 555 votes, less than even Nota.
In Rajasthan and in Chhattisgarh, the Congress voted out. In Telangana, the BRS voted out. Congress coming to power in Telangana, but losing ground in key states that would have been important to set the tone for 2024.
No exit poll predicted the BJP victory in Chhattisgarh since the formation of the state. Clearly, the tribal vote has come back to the BJP, not just in Chhattisgarh, the tribal vote has come back in Madhya Pradesh and also in Rajasthan.
Co-presented.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. The Israel-Gaza war has spilled over to the Red Sea. Houthis are attacking ships. Exports, including oil shipments, are becoming costlier. 10 countries have joined hands to form a force to counter these attacks. Tonight, we'll tell you about this Red Sea coalition. Meanwhile, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has called India a star performer in the global economy. We'll tell you about the wins and the challenges ahead. In Bangladesh, pre-election violence continues to spiral. This time, a passenger train has been set on fire. In China, the worst earthquake in almost a decade kills more than 100 people. In India, all the highlights from the IPL auction. Yet another African nation is expelling the UN peacekeeping force, and why these missions are increasingly unpopular. Why Apple's $17 billion smartwatch business is in crisis. How the EU wasted vaccines worth over $4 billion. And a story that you must watch before getting influenced by influencers. All this and more coming up. The headlines first. India's parliament suspends 141 lawmakers. 95 have been suspended from the Lok Sabha. That's the